Welcome to the Connected Growth Coaching Podcast, where we support women to rediscover who they are so they can thrive in all parts of their lives. Your hosts, Jen Heilman and Amanda Kingsley, share with you unique life coaching resources centered around the power of the mind and the ancient practice of Feng Shui. Good morning.
Oh, hi.
Actually, I shouldn't make that assumption. We are still recording in the morning, but you could be listening at all times of the day.
Right. It's true.
So we are back. Continuing our Bagua interviews. We are super psyched to talk about helpful people and travel today.
Oh, it's a good one. I love this one. Yeah.
I love this one too. Actually, in my home, it is one of the places that I consistently gravitate toward when I need to connect in, right? I feel like if I'm in that space, if I'm snuggled in and open and receiving, I'm able to do some of the work that isn't coming to me, say, in my office or another kitchen table or whatever. So
totally true.
I do love this area. It feels, but it's also a mystery to me, which I guess makes sense. So let's dig in.
Okay.
So this week, helpful people and travel. What is the most important thing to know about this area?
Well, so this area is all about your helpers, right? It's about all of those seen and unseen helpers that just make life flow and make your life easier. You know, let's face it, life, comes with complications, and there's always things that are maybe stumbling, making us stumble or trip, or the things never seem to go as planned, and so this area really helps align the things that make everything go to plan or better, or get you through your day with ease, with less stress. And when I say seen and unseen helpers, I mean the literal people in your world, right? That make your life easier. The daycare providers, or the parents or the grandparents that are picking up the kids. All mine are references to parenting, but coworkers that take on a task that you couldn't complete, or all of those things that make life easier. And it's also the unseen forces that are just lining up the things that need to happen for you. So you set the intention for your day and what you'd like to accomplish, this or something better, and the universe gets to work and helps you line those things up. It kind of clears the path.
Okay, so I'm wondering how quickly this happens, because this morning.
Yeah, right? That was super cool.
This morning, I did a meditation in my helpful people area. It happened to be a meditation about money and welcoming money. And I've had this new realization lately for me about the sense of relief, right? Money isn't about money. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not looking for Lamborghinis and cruise boats. I'm just looking for some relief, right? Some more relief. So I've been really trying to sit with that in meditation. What is that feeling that will really come with the financial freedom that I'm looking for? And so I did this meditation in my helpful people area, and literally Jen walked in the door. She's like, "Here's your mail." And there was a large rebate check that I wasn't expecting in the mail. So I always my head starts spinning. I'm like, can it really happen that quickly?
It really can. It really can happen that quickly. Absolutely.
Those helpful people were like, check in the mail.
You got it. Here you go, sister. Yep, absolutely. No, I think that, there's no time reference for that kind of thing.
That's the mystery of the unseen helpers in my mind.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's what you needed. It's what you called in. It just, things were lining up, and you were open to receiving it. And, there it is, so it's, this area is really tapping into that spiritual side, right? So it's not just allowing those helpers in the, seen world, the physical world. It's really tapping into that spiritual side, and like that trust factor that things are coming, and the things that I'm asking for. And if I remain in that high vibe, energy, then they will come to me, but oftentimes we are the ones that are blocking those, unintentionally blocking the access to all of those things, there's I always think of this area as really the opportunity area. This is where serendipity lives, right? The being in the right place at the right time and meeting the right person and them telling you about the right circumstances and having the most amazing experience. And then that, leading to this and then the next thing and the next thing. And that's how the universe works. The universe doesn't generally, when you ask for more money, it doesn't generally supply you with the winning lottery ticket. It supplies you with
an opportunity
to, and you have to be open to that opportunity, and you have to be open to taking a chance on that opportunity. And just to even back it up a bit, you have to see the opportunity.
I know.
Right? So a lot of us aren't even at a place in our lives where we're open to seeing that was an amazing opportunity that just crossed your path.
Totally. And sometimes it shows up as like a detour on your way to work.
Right.
Or, and sometimes opportunity shows up as this thing that you could easily mistake as a roadblock. But it leads you down this path this road you've never been on, and you happen to notice there's this incredible farm share that you didn't know was there, and you've been looking for a farm share or whatever the thing is. Like, so that has been one of the most transformational shifts in my life, is like seeing opportunity, being open to, like, even when those things feel like roadblocks, is like, who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity in here, right?
Yeah, and just remaining open and curious about every situation and whatever is put in front of you, because almost always, right, there is a silver lining in.
I'm going to go with always.
Yeah.
I really am. And I know people might fight me on that.
Yeah.
But I really am going to go with always. And I love that you talked about the spiritual side here. And this is me going back to the unseen. But if we kitty corner this area with wealth, which we're going to talk about next week, there's this thing with wealth that's like associated with trust and security. There's a little different language twist for me in trust and faith. And this area in Helpful People is like the faith part of that trust. It's like believing in what you don't know exists, whether it is the opportunity that's about to come to you, or whether it is, God or spirit, or, whatever it is, it's this element of faith in the Helpful People area. It has like a little slight nuance from trust. So I love that you brought that up. I mean, faith is a word that I've done a lot of work around embracing, just because my associations with organized religion were the only place that I ever saw the word faith.
Yeah, exactly. That's true for me as well.
I love this word now. I love the word faith. And for me, it is that like spirituality of the unseen helpers.
So what comes through really clearly for me when you say that is that when I think about these areas from the chakra point of view, right? The Helpful People area is related to your 8th chakra, which is like the chakra above your head, right? Where you're like accessing the, divine energy, right? And that like heavenly energy that's coming through. And the wealth area is about your, just like your root chakra, but just kind of defining between faith and trust, right? And the two different words, and the wealth area is about trust and that root chakra is rooted in the earth.
Like security.
Right? And it's like having the security of the earth supplying you with the things that you need to survive, as far as, money. That's huge,
Right.
but it's
like
it's
almost
more about like
tangible.
sustenance.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. It's
Right.
the food and the comfort and having a home and all of those kinds of things. And so it's like what the earth supplies versus what so it's kind of like this combination of like heaven and earth.
Yeah. Oh, I love this area.
Yeah, I know.
I really do. Tell me about the travel piece of this area. What's that all about?
So, this area is, when you're traveling, you have to be in
That's so true.
faith mode, right? That things are going to line up.
Yeah.
And, you are out of your comfort zone. You are not in an area where you are familiar. And so, and this can be just even traveling, commuting, to work or whatnot, it's just like clearing that path and having everything flow more easily. But when you're actually traveling, this being open and having that faith that things are going to line up, it opens you up to opportunities for travel, right? And the fact that you are open and trusting that everything will go, well in your travels, but yeah, just, I feel like it's, it has more to do with that kind of journey and being open to it. Yeah.
For me, there's this element of travel that, I've done a fair amount of travel in my life, but really minimal when I think about the amount of travel I want to do. And one of the most interesting parts of travel is culture, right?
Yeah.
And just like being reminded how big the world is.
Right.
And how varied it is, and how much opportunity for human connection and connection to spirit from elements you haven't necessarily been exposed to in your everyday life, right? Like different cultural, spiritual experiences and places. And so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely that, like, the helpful people getting you to travel smoothly and safely. But my favorite thing about travel is like understanding the vast human experience and connecting with helpful people all over the world.
And that is like the ultimate, being open and curious about the whole thing, right? And not being pigeonholed into, your belief system. When
I was really in network marketing, like big time, I remember just like driving, particularly on like 4-lane highways, like, because we live in the sticks, Jen and I literally live in like dirt roads, like turkeys and cows kind of situation. So when we get on 4-lane highways, we're like, for me still, I'm like mind blown by how many people are in the world. And when I was really in network marketing, I remember just this freedom of like driving down 4-lane highways and looking at all the people and being like, that might be someone I could connect with. That might be someone I could connect with. That might be someone. And it's just like suddenly all my scarcity went out the window. So I was like, there's so many people in the world. I just have to find the right ones. And I still do that a little bit now in terms of like whom I meant to connect with next, but it was really present with network marketing. And just breaking out of that bubble of like, my helpful people are only my mother and my husband and my and my whatever. So
there's definitely a huge expansion within this area for sure.
Super fun space. So in terms of, I always like to help us understand, how does this area, what's the difference between how this area affects us intimately and our family and like the people who actually live in our house? And then how does it affect the bigger picture of like your impact in the world?
I think that when this area is working for you, everyone is communicating more easily, and things are happening more smoothly for everyone. And so life just in general as a family unit, is just more cohesive and easier. This area is directly related to the father of the family, right? The male, the patriarch of the family, just like the love area is related to the mother. And so having that support, oftentimes I will find that when this area is missing from someone's home, that the dad is like a traveling sales rep, or they work all the time, or, or maybe if this area is intact and it's part of the house, but it's like part of the garage, there's some variation there, right? Like they never feel comfortable in the space. So they're always like going out of the house in order to connect. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then in terms of the bigger picture and bigger impact, I mean, from what you've said so far, it sounds like that's more just like the opportunity and the connections, like making connections and networking and like,
just seeing how, like you were saying, how big the world actually is, and not feeling limited and not feeling in that place of lack, like you were talking about, because it is just so expansive. Right. Yeah.
All right. So tell us the big do's and don'ts for this area.
This area, this area it's kind of one of those easier areas where it's not like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. I always like to make this space just feel more, I don't know if the word is ethereal, like just like more connected to that like heavenly place. And, if travel is a big thing in your world, like putting up photographs of places that you want to go, things you want to do, but just being connected, in that realm of spirituality, and keeping it light and open. So definitely, having that connection be opened, not having clutter. Clutter is probably the biggest thing, right? Like if this area is like a spare bedroom that's filled with boxes and whatnot and all that kind of stuff, then you are not only blocking your opportunities, you are blocking your access to wealth, you know? Yeah. So that's a biggie. Keeping it open and clear, and lightening it up. So adding light fixtures, and I love twinkle lights,
yeah, they're kind of magical,
right? Yeah, just there's definitely a magical
like a mystery
quality
around them. Yeah. It's like, what's happening in this room?
Exactly. So that's a huge thing to add in.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it. So would you then say that if our listeners were going to leave this podcast and focus on one thing for this area, I'm going to take a stab at it, and I'm going to say that you would suggest they declutter. Make sure
this is a huge one for this area. Yeah.
Which is interesting, because usually when we, in our other Bagua interviews, check them all out. Yeah. They're all good. We'll be referencing them for years. It's been more about what you should, like, if you're going to do one thing, add, and I feel like this area immediately, I was like, that must be it. It's got to be
remove
clutter.
Yeah,
remove.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just think of this area as like open and airy and light, and so it makes so much sense that so it's like declutter, remove anything that feels heavy in any way, emotionally, physically, like focus on lightness and ease of connection and ease of living.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Beautiful. All right, let's take a quick little break and come back with some journal prompts. I've been getting some great feedback on how people are using these. And it's just so good to hear from our listeners. So please do reach out. We'll be back in a minute. Let's face it, no two lives are the same, and there are no one-size-fits-all tips and tricks. We love connecting with you on the podcast, but remember that if you want game-changing results, one-on-one coaching is where it's at. You can access our programs at connectedgrowthcoaching.com, and we will walk you through the unique circumstances that arise in your life and your home. Let's do it. Get out that pen and paper. Start your thought wheels turning. Sometimes it's just taking a minute to listen to a question and go, never thought about it that way.
Right.
Let's just do a little processing, move on. As always, the deeper you go, the bigger the reward. The daily work Jen and I do has a lot to do with just journaling and answering questions for ourselves and about our lives, and it's powerful stuff.
And you never know what's going to come up.
You
right?
don't. Yeah. And literally, I will think about something, and I pick up the pen and paper, and something completely different comes out my hand.
Exactly. Right. And then you know that that's what you were supposed to be, and if you just instead of letting the spin go on in your mind, if you just picked up that pen and just written it out, it would have been done.
Yeah, it's almost like you can simply ask the question, what should I do? And you can answer it a million ways in your head or freak out about it, or you can literally write it down. 9 out of 10 times the answer is going to come right through. Bam, you're done.
It's because you're connected to your heart through your hand, right? Yeah.
Oh,
and so you get the right answer versus the mind spin.
Right.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. All right. So a couple of things I would encourage you to think about in terms of nurturing this area in your mind and your connections. I'm a list person. I'm always going to be a list person. So I'm often going to give you just write a list. But who are your helpers? Like Jen mentioned earlier, our school community are huge, helpful people in our lives, right? We both have children who are in the system, and not only are they held safe and socializing and learning, there's so many ways. So sometimes when we think about our helpful people, we might be like, oh, I don't have any helpful people. I'm doomed and gloomed and nobody loves me. It's well, think about just those, extend your mind a little, your teachers, your boss, the person who fills the gas tank, not just in your car, but in the gas station so that you can actually get gas, the people who are plowing your roads, the people who are delivering your mail. Really kind of blow your own mind with all the people who are helping make your life run the way it runs.
Right.
Who's stocking the grocery store shelves and who's growing the food?
Right.
Because you're not eating if no one's growing the food.
Right.
So it's not just about having an amazing mother or partner or really supportive friends. It's for real, we have so many helpers that we don't even think about on a daily basis. So kind of list it out, blow your own mind in terms of how many people are actually helping you on this journey. And then take it one step further and go okay, to get where I want to go in my life, what kind of helpers do I want to invite in? Do I want to invite in someone to help me clean my house? Do I want to invite in someone to help me take care of my children so that I can do whatever I need to do? Do I want to invite in helpers who are going to link me to, the next step in my career? But kind of lay out who's already there, who's already helping you, and who would you like to invite in? Because if you don't ask,
right,
guess what? They're not coming.
Right.
So just do some list making. That's my task for you. And then travel's so fun. So I'd love for you to think more about travel. And what is it that you would love to see? Maybe it's not necessarily destinations. I've always wanted to go to Italy, but what is that you want to see? Do you want to see the beauty of nature? Do you want to see how other cultures and people are living? Do you want to see water? Is that where you want to be drawn to?
For me, it's experience.
Yeah,
I want to experience those things, right? So I don't want to bebop around and see things, from the deck of a boat kind of thing, right? I want to be staying in the village, and I don't want to go from village to village. I want to stay in that village, right?
And get to know it for a little while.
And get to know the people there and how they live and how they cook and how they see the world. And, you know, like that's what I want to do when I think about traveling.
Yeah. And what appeals to you? Is it traveling by plane? Is it traveling by vehicle? Is it traveling by train? And why? Right? Like, just kind of expand. And for some of you, that might be global. And for some of you, that might just be getting a guidebook to your local community and being like, dude, I never knew this waterfall was there, and I've lived here my whole life.
That happens to us all the time. Yeah.
Or just asking a friend, like, what are your favorite hikes in the area? Being like, wow, I haven't done that since I was a kid.
Right.
So just sort of expanding out how you want to extend yourself into the world. And then noting, like, where are your fears popping up? And what are they telling you? Like, I'm totally terrified to fly. Or, oh, excuse you, we have a little pup on our lap today.
Apparently Winnie doesn't like to fly.
Jen's dog came to visit today. Both of our dogs have 2 different color eyes, which is very cool. So yeah, what are your fears telling you? And what can you learn from your resistance to travel, your resistance to exploring new places? Or what can you remind yourself? Like, bring back that adventurous spirit, deepen your curiosity. So kind of just get your wheels turning about traveling. Like, what do you love? What do you want to see? Throw some dates out there, right? Like, maybe bucket list it. Like, I want to travel outside the country before I turn 50 or whatever. Just play with it, have fun. It's really easy to get wrapped up in your day-to-day life and come to the end of the year and be like, oops, I really wanted to travel this year and I didn't. So the more you stay in touch with your travel dreams and your exploration and adventure dreams, the more they're going to come to fruition.
Awesome.
That's it.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Good.
We will see you next week for wealth and abundance.
Yeah. Ooh. Everybody's favorite.
As always, thanks for listening. If you learned something today that can help the people in your circle, please help us get the word out by sharing. When you leave us a rating and review on iTunes, it not only warms our hearts, but it helps people find us. We are eternally grateful for your support, and we're looking forward to connecting with you next week. Until then, you can find the show notes at www.connectedgrowthcoaching.com. You can grab your journal and then get your shui on.